InsideFlix, and we're going to be doing our weekly box office report. Rich, tell us in your best voice. I know you're under the weather recently, so in your best voice, if you can, tell us which movies made the top 5 this past weekend.
The number 1 movie in America is Avatar: The Way of Water with 45.8 million. Coming number 2 is Megan with 30.4 million. Number 3 is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish with 13.5 million. Number 4 is A Man Called Otto with 4.2 million. Round out the top 5 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever with 3.5 million.
All right, let's jump right in with the box office news. Now, Avatar: The Way of the Water was number 1 again. That was kind of a given, considering how much it made last week. But Megan really stunned people with its number. It took about 30 million in its first week. And although I thought it was going to be a huge hit, that is a surprising number. What is your guys' thoughts on that film?
I actually thought it was going to be a little bit more higher. I was expecting 35. It was good for me.
It way overperformed from what I was expecting. I thought the movie was going to do well because you could see the buzz building online, but I wasn't expecting it to be this high. I thought it was going to be more like 20.
Well, with the PG-13, I expected it to be a little bit higher and more of I expected to have the horror crowd. 30 million is fine. I mean, it's really good. And of course, Megan is, is just basically what true fans of 80s fans have been waiting for, the remake of Small Wonder.
Yes.
Yes, it's just basically a remake of Small Wonder.
I am, what's Small Wonder? What was her name?
Vicky.
I am Vicky.
Vicky, what's the matter? Television isn't that bad. Holy smokes, I'd better call Dad. Hey, you're okay now. You're all fixed. I'm okay. Could it be this? It is this. The remote makes you nuts.
I think this is a good indication that younger audiences are really addicted to horror movies. If you look at some of the people or some of the kind of personalities online, particularly on TikTok, they're all into horror. All the movie kind of reviewers or pundits, they just love this horror stuff. And if you look at some of their lists, they put out a best film list of 2022. They also put a best horror film list of 2022. Yes. So I mean, this is a new era of horror fans, and maybe even a new era of horror films. And I think Megan kicks that off with this year for 2023.
Well, I hate to ask, so what exactly do you mean by this new generation of horror fans? And
Blumhouse in particular. I mean, Blumhouse is good.
I don't understand what you're saying because I went to go see a bunch of horror films last year. I think some of the best films to come out last year were horror movies, and I had a great time watching all of those horror movies. They were all rated R, and the audience was very well behaved. What I'm used to seeing in the movie theater. Mm-hmm. But I went to go see Megan, and what I experienced was something that I had never experienced before in a movie theater, and it was horrific. And they were people TikToking in the movie theater. There were just people talking and texting throughout the entire movie with their flashes on the lights on their phones fully lit.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
You bring up a good point here. I think there is a fraction in the horror community. I think there's a certain younger group or a younger demographic who kind of grew up on the Blumhouse films and on the Conjuring films and all the James Wan films, right? I would say, that era of horror is not really the greatest era of horror, right? Especially when you compare it to the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. So I think there's a fraction there. I think some of these people, some of these younger fans are kind of just thinking horror is what James Wan produces, right? Or what Blumhouse produces, and they don't really have a kind of history. And maybe it's because they're young and they need a little more time to kind of to fill up their knowledge of horror.
I think that's it. Because honestly, I felt like a lot of these people, it's they don't really go to the movie theaters very often,
Yeah.
And they just don't have manners. They haven't been told like how to behave in the theater.
Right.
So I mean, it's a real problem. And again, I have never experienced this before. That's what all I'm trying to say is that like I don't think this is like the horror community. I think it's like kind
Okay,
of
yeah, I see what you
Richard
mean.
was saying. That I think this is more like the kind of like social media kind of influencer kind of.
Or the social media generation, right? So I think
Yeah.
as I talk to my friends who have kids, they say that their teenage kids kind of only watch movies with their phone on. That discussion is like a different, totally topic. I mean,
Yeah.
did you like Megan when you watched the movie?
I did like it despite the horrible experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that speaks to the quality of the movie.
Mm-hmm. So there it is. I mean, yeah, we'll keep an eye. I mean, we'll see if any more reports about this type of behavior in different movies when other movies come out. But I imagine it's kind of going to be. It's only going to get worse from here now. It's just part of the way people watch movies nowadays with their phones out and sometimes maybe live tweeting or live TikToking. I guess.
Oh man. Oh my. Every time a movie like this comes out, you just have to go to the Alamo Draft House.
All right, let's talk about Avatar really quick. Avatar: The Way of the Water. It has now officially passed Top Gun: Maverick as being the #1 box office movie of 2022. What's the future for this movie? Is it going to get any higher? Is it now going to decline a little bit? Is it going to fizzle out like we thought? What's your predictions of the future of Avatar: The Way of the Water? Is it going to be close to 2 billion?
Yes. Yes.
It's gonna pass 2 billion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna end up in the top 5 for sure. And it's gonna knock off most likely Infinity War and hopefully The Force Awakens. And then James Cameron will end up having 3 movies in the top 5,
Mm-hmm.
which will make him king of the world.
Mm-hmm.
The magic is still there for him.
Yeah, I think Cameron came out and said that it has kind of hit that threshold where the sequels are definitely in the go. It's definitely going to be coming out, and he's most likely going to be busy the next couple, maybe even the next decade, working on those films.
But I think this is probably this was just the best situation for him to do this,
Mm-hmm.
because the next chapter, he'll definitely have more competition in theaters.
Yes.
So we'll see how that does.
All right, and now let's talk about the rest of the top 5. Rich, fill us in.
In 6th place is Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. Number 7 is The Whale. Number 8 is Babylon. Number 9 is Violent Night. And number 10 is The Menu.
All right, let's take a look at next week's releases. Rich, tell us what movies are coming out in theaters and also in streaming.
Opening up wide this weekend is Plane.
Oh, that's the Gerard Butler and Mike Coulter hostage thriller.
Also opening up this weekend is House Party.
Yes, that's the comedy remake produced by LeBron James.
And also opening in several more theaters is A Man Called Otto.
Yes, that's the dramedy that stars Tom Hanks, which is doing pretty good last week. It
opened in top 4. Yeah.
And what's in limited release?
The Devil Conspiracy.
That's the spiritual action horror thriller.
Also Saint Omar.
Yes, I heard of this one. This is the acclaimed French courtroom drama that's getting a lot of buzz. Now tell us about the streaming. What's going to be available to stream this week?
On Peacock, you'll be able to stream Sick.
This is the new pandemic horror movie that's produced and written by Scream scribe Kevin Williamson.
And on Hulu, you'll be able to find The Drop.
Yeah, that's the new Vacation Gone Wrong comedy that stars a couple of comedians.
Like Jillian Bell, Anna Conkle, and Jermaine Fowler.
Oh. All right, let's talk about Plane. This is the new Gerard Butler thriller. Is this going to be #1 or is it going to be Avatar again?
Oh, it's Avatar again, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's got that magic when he does these movies that he grabs his audience, and he knows how to grab his audience for these action films that he does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every once in a while, he keeps his star going.
Well, look, like Gerard Butler, who is, he at one point in his career, he was going to be the next action star, right? When 300 came out, it was a peak moment in his career. But now he's kind of stuck in this, I want to say, B action films that are somewhat good, but also somewhat very bad as well. It is somewhat decent. Cop Shop was pretty decent last year. or 2 years ago. Greenland was a pretty decent end of the world kind of thriller, and then and also the Has Fallen series has done very good for his career.
Yeah.
And also Den of Thieves, which wasn't a big hit, but it has now emerged as this cult favorite. Now everyone kind of talks about Den of Thieves as like this really great, trashy cop
Yeah.
thriller. So yes, he has kind of generated a following. I just don't know about this movie though. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Like I said, I mean, it's just another one of his produced films, and he's got his loyal fans with him. That's for sure. He's got that Liam Neeson-esque type of draw.
I think Plane is gonna make a 17 million opening weekend.
Wow, that's
pretty
That
good,
would
right?
be really good.
Yeah, that'd be really good. I don't know how many screens it's gonna get, but yeah.
I think it's gonna do well.
I did watch the trailer. I did like the trailer. I
Yeah.
did like the premise. Here he's playing a airline pilot, and he has to team up with a convicted, I believe, a killer who's transporting. What happens is the plane crashes in behind a terrorist
behind
territory.
enemy lines.
Yeah. So the plane get taken by this terrorist group, and so he has to team up with Mike Coulter,
Yeah.
who's playing some kind of criminal, maybe not so a criminal with a heart of gold. So
Yeah, right.
I really kind of like that premise. It really kind of reminds me of like a '90s action film. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm not sure if that's there's a crowd or an audience for that, but
Yeah, Gerard Butler movies. I mean, all his movies are like that.
I mean, at least they're pushing it. I saw ads for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes me think it's gonna be a hit because I've been seeing so much marketing for this movie like online, and yeah, I think it's gonna get out. I think it's gonna be successful enough because they're marketing it a lot, and it doesn't look like a bad movie.
Okay.
Yeah. The worst thing about it is the title.
Plain.
Yeah.
It's too
Yeah.
plain.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your thoughts on House Party?
Well, they're not marketing this movie like at all.
They're dumping this
so-
movie, right?
Yeah,
What was your thoughts of the trailer when you saw the trailer?
it's awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I saw the trailer for this House Party movie like back when the trailer first came out, and I just could not believe how awful the movie looked. And I'm blown away with like why they went with this like approach because they're not even like high school kids in the movie. There's like these just like grown men
Yeah.
like basically throwing a party in LeBron's house. It's very bizarre. But just the other night, I actually watched on HBO Max House Party 4. And I could not believe how bad House Party 4 is. House Party 4 stars like the three little kids from House Party 3. And they're older in House Party 4. They're, I guess, like teenagers or whatever. And it's such a bizarre movie because it's basically like an extremely low budget, like a shoestring budget, all black cast remake of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Interesting.
And I just could not believe how awful the movie was. And I was like, there's no way this House Party 6 or whatever it is going to be as bad as House Party 4.
Well, I mean, I remember House Party, the first one, and that's a classic. And Reginald Hudlin, who wrote and directed that film, I remember him saying something about how he was just a fan of what he calls happy rap. And it was like a rare time in rap music history, late 80s, early 90s, when rap was like, happy. It was like fun. It was like Kid and Play, Heavy D and the Boys. It was, even like Big Daddy Kane, who had this kind of suave and kind of gangster attitude, yet his music was danceable. It was like a lot of dance hip hop music, and it was a great time. And House Party, the original House Party, really kind of spoke to that, and really is like kind of a rare insight to that kind of genre or that era of hip hop.
When I rewatched the first House Party, like I was actually kind of surprised, blown away that they actually play Public Enemy in that movie.
Yeah, Public Enema.
Yeah, that's a great bit with John Witherspoon. But no, they play Public Enemy in that movie. I would never kind of like associate Public Enemy with Kid and Play, but
So what you're they're definitely dumping this movie. I don't think the studio behind this film is really supporting it. I haven't seen any commercials or anything any. It's just like they only released one
Well,
trailer.
this movie was originally supposed to come out for HBO Max. It was an
was
HBO
it?
Max. It was made for HBO Max, and then David Zaslav, like everything that was going to be put on HBO Max, he was like, okay, no more. That's why they canceled like Batgirl and a bunch of other like smaller films. And that's why also the Evil Dead Rise was also going to be an
Right.
HBO Max movie, but that's
Right.
now getting a theatrical release. Like I said, it looks like Evil Dead Rise is actually going to probably be a huge hit.
Yeah.
That movie looks awesome. The trailers are great. The two
Right.
trailers they put out. House Party, I think they're just hoping for whatever they can get. You know what I mean? They're like, let's just get whatever we can before we dump it on HBO Max because they were going to put it there anyways.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. All right. So that was our box office report. We'll be back next week with we'll talk about the results and we'll see what movies are coming out next week. Thank you for watching Inside Flix. All right. Bye bye.